So, what is happening, people? We are back with the absolute legend himself, Jez. How you doing?
I'm very good, Gracie. Yeah, and thanks for inviting me on your channel.
Thank you for coming on.
It's an honour to be here.
Absolutely. We're going to get into the thick of it. All things Arsenal is probably the best way to describe it. Um, but just generally, like, what is your opinion on what we've been like in the past few weeks?
In the past few weeks, well, let's start with Nottingham Forest, shall we? Absolute capitulation, shocking, embarrassing. One of the worst games I have witnessed as an Arsenal fan in 53 years. We've had some embarrassing losses in the FA Cup. Wrexham, York City. I remember those games very well. And it was appalling. The team just was not set up. It was almost like the team didn't want to be there. Arteta got it all wrong. And it was just, a disgrace. And the fact that's the second year on the bounce, we're out on the third round. Last year it was Southampton. This year it's Nottingham Forest. Now, when you've got Nottingham Forest fans singing to you towards the end of the game, you're never going to win the European Cup we have. Not Forest back in their time with Brian Clough and Peter Taylor were a fantastic team.
Yeah.
Winning the European Trophy, European Cup twice on the bounce. They were awesome. And I used to enjoy watching them play when I saw them back in the late 70s and that. But moving on to the Liverpool game, Xhaka doing Xhaka stuff. That guy, dearie me, he's just a liability. I don't see what people see in him. I see nothing from him. Barely scores a goal.
Mm-hmm.
He passes backwards brilliantly. Can't pass the ball forwards. Really. He's got the turning circle of the Titanic, and we all know where the Titanic is. And he's just clumsy. He didn't need to do that against Liverpool. There was no need for that. I'm not convinced he was going to score. Ramsdale was coming out. Although, going to Ramsdale, I think that's probably his worst game for Arsenal since he's been with us.
Definitely.
I thought his distribution was poor. He seemed to be slow that night. I don't know why. But, normally in that situation, he'd been out a damn sight quicker and shut that down. So, I can't say that was what was to blame because it wasn't. Xhaka made the appalling tackle, and you do that, it's a red. And he did it for us against Man City, where we absolutely got our, arses kicked. So, yeah, I've got no time for the guy. But let's get it right. The team defended so well.
Absolutely.
So well. To a man, I couldn't fault any of them. It was a tough ask to go to Anfield, and it's bad enough with 11 men. Playing Liverpool Anfield, you really need 12 men. Let's be fair.
Yeah.
And we went down to 10 men. As soon as that happened, I thought, oh my days, here we go. This is going to be 2-3-0. Luckily for us, Liverpool were not on the money that night. And we got away with it. And it sets it up for Thursday night, if it goes ahead, because obviously there's rumours it may not go ahead. If it doesn't, I think that's an absolute disgrace.
Absolutely.
But, yeah, couldn't fault the team in any position. And the fans, guys that I know that made that journey, and let's be honest, going up to Anfield on a Thursday evening in the middle of the winter is not a pleasant experience. I've done it years ago. And, time you've left the ground, you're not getting back to London till the early hours, 4 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
And the Arsenal singing, they outsung the Liverpool fans at home. Now, everybody makes out that Anfield is a fantastic stadium for support. It's not really.
No.
I've been there loads of times. All right, at the start of the game, when they're singing, "You'll never be alone," and all this, never walk alone. Sorry, that's great, and it does put shivers down your back when they do it. But after that, pretty much it's nothing. So we move on. We move on to Thursday night, don't we?
Absolutely. And onto the Xhaka point, why is it that he gets away with it? That's the problem. You look at the Aubameyang situation, he was wrong. Don't get me wrong. He does not deserve the captaincy for doing that. And that's not what a captain does. A captain doesn't show up late to games or training. But it seems like, in my opinion, what Xhaka's been doing is worse because it is costing us a game.
Yeah.
But it's down to favourites at this point, because how can there be such a severe punishment for Aubameyang? Because Aubameyang's practically been fired. Let's face it, he's been fired. He's not playing, and now he's going to be out for even longer. There's all sorts of rumours with him, but we'll get onto that in a bit. But Xhaka just keeps getting rewarded with more game times. I guarantee you, when he comes back off his suspension, he'll be straight back in that team.
Yeah.
But we have options. That's the thing. People say we don't, but there's so many people. You have Partey, who had an excellent game before he went to the AFCON. That was definitely one of his best games.
Absolutely, yeah.
For Arsenal. I could not fault a single thing he did in that game. When you're putting a liability in the midfield where he's going to pick up yellows or he's going to get a straight red, because referees in VAR, they consider it about other offences. I know they shouldn't, but it's 100% a factor in VAR. They're going to look, well, he's done that before, or he might have done it earlier in the game, and he's going to go straight red every single time. But that guy, honestly, it's never going to end, and we just need to get rid of him.
Absolutely. He as I said to you before we went live, he is not, in my book, Premiership quality. He's doesn't have the agility. He doesn't have certainly doesn't have the speed. He's too slow in his reactions, and he gets caught out, and he reacts. He panics. So, he might be all right in the French league. He might be all right in a German league, or send him to Danish league, but he's not good enough for the Premiership, and he's certainly not good enough for Arsenal. What we demand at Arsenal. But sadly, at this point in time, Arsenal are in disarray, from the manager to the directors, who we've got, Edu, Vinay, and all that. I'll just come to the point that you made there about Aubameyang. I think ever since Aubameyang signed that contract when Arteta came in, there's been a problem. I think Arteta and Aubameyang do not get on. And Aubameyang being a senior player, I think at times he just turns around and sticks his two fingers up to Arteta. Yeah. And okay, I don't condone that. It's being childish. But I don't think Aubameyang likes the way Arteta sets the team up. I don't think Aubameyang likes being stuck out on the left wing. And I think it's over a period of time. Aubameyang said, "Stuff you," and I don't want to be here. And sadly, I don't think he will be. Whether he gets sold in this window, I doubt. I don't think so. Especially now these rumours flying around that he's got heart issues because of COVID, lesions on his heart or something, I've read. But the whole point of the matter is Arteta, time and time and time again, upsets and ruins players. And does that say to you that Arteta is a good manager or a good leader? No. because he is not. He's not going to be the man for Arsenal. I've said it from day one. And you agree, there's a lot of other people agree, but unfortunately, we also have a lot of people out there that think he is good. And they believe in his philosophies, which, let's be honest, are rubbish.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, this whole thing to me is a PR stunt to try push this notion of we are changing as club. We're moving to the next era. We're not. We're
No,
downgrading. You know, I would at this point I'd rather have Arsene Wenger back. You know, it's horrible to even think it because we were in such a state and we have been left in a mess. But at the end of the day, all of us know that this situation's not going to change.
no.
So we now have to just sit back and wait. It's a waiting game with Arsenal right now. You know, realistically, players don't develop at the same time. They're all different, they're individuals. Yes, they may develop as a team in terms of chemistry when they start playing more games, but doesn't mean they're going to win against teams like Liverpool and Man City. Like, you look at our transfer window, what have we done? Like, loaned out a few players? You have to be quick if you want to get the players you want. But for years and years, even when Arsene Wenger was in charge, we sit on it. And then we
Mm.
sign about 4 on transfer deadline day.
Mm.
And if you got that in early, you can integrate them to the team and they can start playing. You know, it's just.
Look at how Chelsea deal with their transfer business. They don't mess
Yeah.
about. If they want a player, they go and get that player.
Yeah.
They don't play stupid games like Arsenal have done for so many years. It's in just so embarrassing. I mean, this constant thing that rolls around. Arsenal must be linked to just about every player in the world at some point. And this guy, Vlahovic, at the moment, I mean, if you want the guy, just go to Fiorentina and just say, right, okay, you want 58.4, here's the 58.4. If you really want him, go and do it. You know, if you want to go and buy a Ferrari, yeah, and Ferrari, that car's 200 grand, and you walk in there and say, well, I'll give you 150. They're going to say, see ya.
Yeah.
If you want it, if you really want it, you give them 200 grand. And you walk out with your car keys and you drive away. It's just, I just don't understand the philosophy of Arsenal's transfer business, because we keep getting linked here, we get linked there, and we're short of, apparently we're short of midfielders. We just loaned out Mari.
Yeah.
What's that say? Where is excuse me, where is the sense in that? I just don't see it. I just don't see it.
It's completely illogical. And, for years, I have believed this one thing, and that everyone says, oh, we can't afford it. We're Arsenal Football Club. A player, it shouldn't, of course, like money's a factor with the club, but if a player wants to come to this club because we're Arsenal, like, we are one of the biggest teams in the world, and that's just how it is. Our history is absolutely incredible. But who would want to come up to us in this state? All we have left is Premier League football, and goodness knows after Thursday what's going to happen. We may end up with literally just Premier League football, and that is an embarrassment.
We're not going to win the Premier League. Let's get it right. Man City have almost done it now. Yeah. So let's Man City completely capitulate. It's theirs again. So let's forget that one. But we constantly see top four, the Wenger Trophy. What the hell is the point of us with the current management, the players we've got going in the Champions League? We'd get absolutely stuffed. Can you imagine us playing Bayern Munich, Barcelona, Real Madrid? Now, I know Barcelona aren't the team they were. They're still a damn sight better than Arsenal. And it was proven last year in the Europa League. A far better manager who we had in Emery beats Arsenal with his team. Doesn't that say something? Isn't that saying a big message here? Why did we get rid of that bloke? Because I don't believe Arsenal ever really wanted him. because he didn't really get the support he should have got. Arsenal have given Arteta £250 million. And look at some of the dross he's bought. Look at some of the idiots we've had in. Willian.
Yep.
You know, it transpires. Never wanted to come here anyway. He offers Xhaka a new contract when the guy openly said he wanted to go. But Arteta persuades him to stay. What's that about? You know, why keep a player? When Thierry Henry decided it was time to go, the one thing Wenger did was he sold him. He was coming to his peak. Well, he was at his peak, but he was going to go down. And so he maximised his value and sold him. And did the right thing. Good business sense. You know, he didn't want to be here anymore. He wanted to move on. So flog him. You know, I've always said, if a player doesn't want to be in your team, get rid of them.
Yeah.
You are not going to get 100%. If Xhaka didn't want to be here, it says he's either fed up with being at Arsenal, or he's fed up with the manager, or he doesn't like the whole setup. Well, sell him. Sell him.
Yeah.
Let him go.
Why are we keeping this massive wage bill for no reason when you're going around and you're praising that we have the best one of the best academies? You know, if we have one of the best academies, use it. Like it brings back to the postponement of games. We have all these players that you just won't use, and you don't get rid of the dead wood. A thing with Arsenal, we can't for some reason get rid of these players unless it reaches the point that they are so fed up that they want to leave. And it's just, I just can't comprehend why Arsenal are so sloppy, and it is probably down to the management as well. But what's appealing to a club that is literally in the mud? We're stuck, you know. We sometimes wiggle a bit out, you know, play a good couple of games, but people want this top four, but we can't even beat Nottingham Forest right now, you know. So how are we going to go into Europe and face a Bayern Munich? You know, face your Real Madrids. I would much rather win something. Like I don't care what it is at this point. Win something so I can see where we are actually going. Because more and more, I see us just regressing, and every other team's going out and they're spending and spending. £250 million on what? What have we got to show? Odegaard, you know, Odegaard 30 million. So where is all this money going?
Partey, I think, was a good buy.
Yes.
Tomiyasu, I think he's been very, very good.
He's excellent. I love Tomiyasu. His work ethic's brilliant.
Tierney, Ramsdale, I'll be honest with you, you know, when we bought him, I thought, really? What the hell? But he's proved me wrong. And I'll always say, and I've said it every time, if a player proves me wrong, big up to him. And I'll, you know, I'll support any player that comes to Arsenal from day one if they perform. But unfortunately, we have got some players. We have had some players in the last 6 years that have been absolute crap. And, you know, and they show themselves very, really quickly. So, you know, it seems to be the Arsenal way. We've done it since I was about 9 or 10 years old. You know, we bring in players. There was, you know, I said to Del Boy the other night, a player you probably never even heard of. You've heard of George Best, obviously, back in the day. He was one of the, you know, unbelievable footballer.
Yeah,
I was very fortunate in my youth to see him play. But back in 68, 69, my very first started really supporting Arsenal big time with my granddad, like your granddad. We bought a player from Scotland called Peter Marinello, and everybody was lauding this guy up to be the Scottish version of George Best. Well, when he first turned up, nobody really knew anything about him, and it was we all the talk was, oh, this guy's going to be awesome. He was awesome. He wasn't. He was not. He was bang average. On a good day, he was bang average. Now, unfortunately, what happened to that fella was that the press bigged him up to be, in Scotland, in Scottish football, he was George Best.
Yeah.
No doubt, he was. But coming from, we all know that Scottish football is basically two teams. And, well, let's call it four teams. And playing in Scotland football-wise is nothing like playing in what was then the First Division. It's a totally, totally different beast. And, you know, this seems to be the Arsenal philosophy, that we buy crap, you know, and we've done it over the years, and it'll never. I don't think it'll ever change. It seems to be, we like to try and buy cheap, and as you were saying earlier, Arsenal, I believe, are the 7th richest club in world football, with money in the bank and assets. Let's get it right. There's not many clubs in the Premiership, right, that have reserve accounts as rich as Arsenal and are actually in the black. And most of these football clubs are in the red, you know, and they have to be pumped up every season. Now, Arsenal could go out and buy, if they really wanted to, they could go out and buy any player they wanted.
100%.
And people say the Cronkies, you know, blah, blah, blah. The Cronkies have backed Arteta with money.
Mm-hmm.
They've given him money. They haven't said they've, you know, in my book, I don't agree with them, but they're very hands off. You know, you don't see anything or hear anything from them. You know, and I agree with what others say. I think it is Josh Kroenke who owns Arsenal. Mm-hmm. His father probably owns the global thing, but Josh Kroenke is the main man at Arsenal. So, I'd like to hear more from him. I'd like to have him as a more of a involved owner, if I can call him that, because I mean, there's 2 points of view. I'm not necessarily in agreement with American owners, because they don't understand the game of football in such the same ways I think we do. Or I mean, but you know, the whole game of football's philosophy's changed. There's international owners from all around the world now, and we have to live with that. It ain't going to change.
Yeah.
But it does, honestly, Gracie. It's, you know, I've seen this go on for years and years and years. I don't think it'll ever change, to be fair.
No, me neither. And again, like, I've always believed that this just backs it up. Like, I always believe that Arsenal, we have the money. People say we don't. We do. Like, as you said, we're one of the richest in the world. So that's a cover-up story to a whole new bigger thing of that. Like, this great comment here, like, we do lack ambition sometimes, and it's irritating because we've been fed this principle of, if you get top 4, it is okay. We're still 4, as Lee says, 4 is like 4th loser. No one wants to sit here and not win anything, because that's not what football is about at the elite level. And, you know, us going out and buying these mediocre players is not doing us any favours. If Chelsea are building a team, for example, they go out and, like, I think 90, 100 million for Lukaku. They don't care. We want you. You're going to make a difference, so we're going to go get you. Why? There's as you said, it's always been the same. And that's just the Arsenal way, if you like. And I think you're right, it's never going to change. Because at the end of the day, sometimes when we lose games, it's not the owner's fault. I think people are quick to blame, and I've done it in the past, until I'm educated on themselves, they're not involved. They do have a different approach to someone like Levy, for example, at Tottenham. They're not signing the players themselves because they trust the people that they employ to do that, and that's the people you should target when it comes to this, because the manager has an involvement, Edu has an involvement, Vinay has an involvement. Those are the three that make all the decisions. Kroenke's just chuck the money. That's literally all they do. But anyway, let's get off the bandwagon. I'm just going to read out some of these comments.
Yeah, carry on.
They are coming in quick. So,
big up to all Alf as well. Haven't seen you for a while.
Yes, big up to you. Also, make sure you're all going subscribing to Del Boy as well. Me and him are going to sort some stuff out soon, so make sure you stay tuned. But anyway,
good old Del Boy. He's a good lad.
Yes, absolutely. Such a laugh. So can Arsenal add a trophy to the trophy cabinet this season or next season? What do you think, Jez?
It all depends on Thursday night, doesn't it? Let's be fair. If we do get a result against Liverpool, we then face Chelsea in the final, and that's a big tough one. We got away with it in the FA Cup 2 years ago. There'll be a different animal if we get them in the final of the Carrier Bag Cup. So, I'd love us to see. We've only ever won the League Cup as it is twice.
Yeah.
My first ever cup final was '68, and that was when we lost to Swindon Town 3-1, and at Wembley, my granddad. And I've been to other League Cup finals we've lost. The last one I think was against Birmingham City. What a disgraceful day that was. So we've won the FA Cup the most times, and I love the FA Cup. I just love it. I just love it. But the League Cup, we've never been great. I'd love us to go there and win that. We do. Let's be fair. We do have a bit of a good thing against Chelsea in cup finals.
Yeah.
But with that manager they've got, be a tough ask.
Definitely. This season I don't see it, because the League Cup is the only option to win a trophy this season. It's just, you can't question it. And for me, in the seasons to come, it all depends on who we have as a manager, because it's whether he will be here still, which let's be likely he's going to. We can't kid ourselves into thinking we're going to go out and get a good manager, because we're not. We're sticking with Arteta, and that's just how it's going to play out. But I think it's who we bring in terms of players as well, because the players that we have now, apart from probably the goalkeeper, we're not going to see in the next few years, apart with contracts and depending if they want to sign an extension. But they're not going to want to if we're not challenging for titles and cups and trophies. That's a player wants to win, unless you're Harry Kane, of course, because he's just stayed in the same place forever. But at the end of the day, potentially, who knows? But we move on and keep hoping, because that's all we can do with this team. I don't see. It's painful. It is so painful to watch sometimes. But it is what it is. So he won't be here till next season. I still maintain that I said along Arteta. Of course. Yeah. He won't be here. I don't think long term. I think it will get to a point where the fans will actually drive him out.
Well, don't
forget, it's going to take a lot.
Arteta, said Arsenal will win the Champions League within 3 years. Well, first of all, Mr. Arteta, you prick, I always love saying that, you've got to get us in the Champions League first. And I don't see it happening this year. So You know, it's all right being the big, saying all these big statements. You know, we've finished 8th twice and we've fluked an FA Cup. So the thing is, if we, this is the thing, if we win the League Cup or the Carabao Cup, you know it's going to sustain him being at Arsenal longer. You know that.
Yeah.
That's the quandary we're all caught in, that the ones that don't want Arteta, and believe you me, you've been to games, Gracie.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that don't want him here, and there's a lot of people that do want him here. So it's you know, a bit of a tough one, that. But we all know if he wins that, and let's say we scrape 7th, let's say, he'll be here for another year.
Yeah. Minimum as well. Like, definitely 100% us fluking that FA Cup secured his job for another year. And that's why he's still here. People are quick to latch on to, oh, he won a trophy though. Yeah, but what does it actually mean? Did it get us anywhere? Not really. We've gone backwards. I watched that game and I was proud. I'm always proud. Win, lose or draw, I will still be wearing my shirt like the next day. You know, even if we're losing, I watch every second, like till the final whistle blows. I will watch it. But that day we did play good football. We really did play some good football, but we don't sustain anything. No. That's the issue. We literally go backwards. We take 20 steps forward and, you know, probably like 30 back. And it's just such a shame to see. As you said, I've been to games this season as well. And it's just not... The atmosphere's there, but there is so much tension as well. It's very hard to describe it. Like when I was at the Emirates, I'm sitting on the North Bank on the side, and there is people that generally hate him. Like really do, because they see it's destroying everything we love as fans about Arsenal. And that's the hardest part about it, because the real ones care, win, lose or draw, you know, but we're not negative. We just want the best.
Well, you've got passion on it. Well, I see we've got a real one in the chat here now, Mr. Gunner.
Yes.
The fact is that there's an awful lot of fans that all they've known, all they've, you know, grown up with is the Wenger philosophy, you know. And let's get it right. There's an awful lot of fans that were at Arsenal long before that, and I've seen a lot of different Arsenals. So these people that are still sucking up to Wenger and his philosophy. Wenger was great for about 6-7 years. You know, he wasn't great the whole time he was there. And towards, you know, the last 8 years, we were nosediving. All right, we were still in Europe. We were, you know, qualifying. What did we actually achieve? Nothing. One European Cup final, which we should have won. We should have had that. But the fact of the matter is, we didn't. You know, Arsenal have got a bloody awful track record in Europe, let's be fair. You know, compared to Liverpool, Chelsea, Man United, Nottingham Forest, Aston Villa have won the European Cup, for God's sake. You know? So we have never been great. And the fact that we've won the FA Cup the most amount of times is fantastic. But let's not... the sad thing is, this year, we will equal the longest run without us winning a Division 1 or Premiership championship. So, Mr. Arteta, you need to get your finger out, mate.
100%. But we're going to move on in a moment. You mentioned, obviously, it's a bit of history. Obviously, you were taught by your granddad the things you know. You know, that's why you're a gunner, and it's why I'm a gunner as well. And these stories that I've heard. I mean, I'm 17 this year. I've growing up in the Wenger era. Like, I've only known 3 managers in my lifetime: Unai Emery, Arteta, and Arsene Wenger. That's all I've ever known. But I'm so glad that I've had this like generational thing going on, because without it, honestly, I don't know, I probably wouldn't be sitting here and I wouldn't be saying all this, And the Champions League final. Oh boy, did my granddad have something to say that. It would definitely crop up in quite a few conversations, and I would love to see that. I don't want to be sitting here just watching the Premier League, and being low down, because at the moment we're considered like a mid-table team, and I agree with it, because we're not up to standard. Where by signing Arteta, it shows how low our standards are, and it's not I don't have anything personally against him. I think people need to understand, I don't have anything personal against him. I don't care about him as a person. I care about what he gets paid for and what he gets paid to do. And he does, sometimes you could go, okay, well done, fair enough. But majority of the time, it's upsetting. And like, you know, going back like to the Highbury days, and it's like you sit here and you think, wow, we have gone so far down. Even I remember a couple of years ago, so 2019, I went to Arsenal with my granddad, and we were watching. It was a Europa League game, and yeah, I was a VIP, and I've never experienced something like that in my life. Like, it's magical. And I remember the first time I went to Arsenal. It's kind of a traditional thing, You walk up the steps to the pitch and you close your eyes, and it does give you goosebumps. It's incredible. Like, it really is incredible. And that's my earliest memory. So I want to ask you, what is your earliest memory of being an Arsenal fan?
Ooh, crikey. My first earliest memory. It would have to be. It'd have to be. It'd have to. Right. Okay. When I first started getting into football, I started showing interest in football. Because where my grandparents lived in Gillespie Road, which obviously was the road that ran behind the back of the North Bank.
Yep.
We lived in Avenel Road, which is right opposite the West Stand. And as a little kid, we'd always go up at some point in the week, 2 or 3, 4 times. We'd go up to my grandparents, and my granddad would always sit there and he'd tell me stories about the Arsenal from his young days. His first game was in 1924. And he'd tell me about the cup final in 27 when he went to that, and the great teams of Herbert Chapman in the 30s, and all these different. He was quite incredible in his knowledge, and he could almost name every bleeding team. And I think the most was when I first was allowed to go. My mum actually let me go to a home match, and my granddad said, well, we can't go in the North Bank, you're too small. Because back in them days, the North Bank was standing, and there was days at Highbury where you'd get 50-odd thousand. So you were like sardine tins. And being a little 7-year-old kid, we went in the Upper West, and it was Arsenal West Brom. And that is a game I'll never, ever forget. My first professional football match. Going up the steps, coming out. And I remember being quite frightened, because I'd seen football on the television, black and white. But when you actually suddenly get into the arena and the noise, as a little kid, I used to watch the fans going up and down and around from my parents' house or my grandparents' house. But you never quite got the charismatic atmosphere, So that to me was probably my best early memory. Second to that was going to the 70-71 Cup final. And funny enough, I've been doing some digging out. I've actually got my scarf from that.
Wow.
that I don't know if you can see that very well. It's got all them badges on it.
Amazing.
That badge there was when we won the Division 1. And that's my first ever.
That's brilliant.
That one there was from the Fairs Cup, 1969. But I've forgotten to even add that.
Brilliant. It's amazing what you find. I mean, I haven't been through all my granddad's stuff yet, and that will come in time. But the shirts, I just love looking at them. Like, it makes you emotional holding them because they're just incredible. Like, so much history within this like item and so many memories. It's just incredible. I mean, I've scarves and shirts dropped all over the place because it's the things that like make you love Arsenal even more. And it is the atmosphere for me is the one thing that will always stand out because I've never ever felt anything like it. It's incredible.
No,
Like
it is when you're sort of almost part of a family, and I'm obviously the fact of where I lived, it was a family because all around the streets around Highbury, everybody supported Arsenal. If you're into football, not saying everybody was into football, but I'd have said 95% of people were. And it was, the days were different then because, where I lived, you literally had friends that lived there, and you'd literally go out of one front door into another one, and you'd all meet up, and it'd be match day, and then you'd congregate, and then you'd have a bit of banter with the away fans down at the clock end and all that. And then you go up to the North Bank when I was old enough to go in there. It was, it's such a great atmosphere. Times have changed now because I was going to a game and I got off the tube at Arsenal tube station, walking down to mates of mine's house, and there was, unbelievably, right, in Highbury Hill, there was a car there with a Spurs sticker in the back window. Now, if that had been back in the days when Highbury was still a football ground, that car wouldn't have been there anymore. It'd been on its roof. Yeah, it just didn't happen. And the whole thing of the community of football has changed. So, but they were great days. I loved it. Great days.
absolutely, and hopefully we will get that again someday. It will come, but who knows when it will be. Yeah, it's just incredible. But moving on, we are looking ahead to the next few games. How many points do you think we can get? Let's say in the next 3 games.
Next 3 games.
Obviously excluding Liverpool.
Yeah. I would say if we can scrape, I'm being positive, if we can scrape 4 points out of that, I think we've done well.
Yeah, I would say the same. I mean, we're sitting in 5th at the moment. Not the top 4 everyone was hoping for, obviously. Yeah, but 35 points, and West Ham are above with 37. So it's a tight gap at the moment, but there's plenty of games to be played, obviously. Yeah, I would say about 4 points. Obviously, we have Burnley. I think we can beat Burnley.
Yeah.
We can definitely beat Burnley. If we don't, I will be beyond the point of angry.
Didn't last year, did we?
No,
we
didn't. And again, it's just another example of just stupidity from our players as well. And it's who at the moment, it's who's going to step up to the plate. Who will?
Well, hopefully we'll have our players back from the AFCON uninjured, still fit, that can slot back in. Partey, we need him back.
Definitely.
But I really want to see Pepe have a good run of games. That bloke has never had a good run of games. He'll come on, play a bit part, and you don't see him again for 2 or 3 games. And again, this is, I think, Arteta doesn't like him, doesn't rate him. So you're only bringing him in desperation. And I see there's talk of Guendouzi coming back. Well, let's be fair. Right now, we could do with him back, And if we could get him back in this transfer window, with currently what's happening, I think that'd be a major plus for us. I really do. Again, why punish players like for what he did when you've got Xhaka, who constantly fails us? He disrespects the fan base like he did against Watford, makes a stupid comment, oh, we were scared. What, of Watford? Do me a favour. We're not playing bloody Barcelona. Mm-hmm. We're not playing Liverpool, who we should be scared of because they are quality. Man City are quality. But let's get it right. We should be up there. We used to be. We used to be a team that people feared. When they had to play, as the old saying, the Arsenal, people would say, oh, well, we'll write that one off. We'll give that one a free hit. And it's a joke because now people don't fear us. Back in the days when teams came to play us at home, they were feared. I've got loads of friends of mine who were Chelsea, and they say we used to hate going to Highbury. We used to hate going and playing you there because Highbury was such an intimidating place to play because it was so tight. It was so fans were all over. The pitch was small, and the fans were on top of the pitch. The Emirates doesn't command that presence, and that is a lot to do with modern grounds now. West Ham, the old Upton Park, I used to hate going there. I used to really hate going to that ground. It was so intimidating. The whole area was intimidating. And, West Ham weren't the nicest of fans anyway. The old Millwall ground, that was the worst ground you'd ever want to go in your life. I swear to God. You did not want to go down to Millwall and play them in a cup game. Oh, my days. The new Millwall ground isn't as bad as the old one in the atmosphere. Anfield still can be if it's on the right day. I'll have to say in recent years, I don't think it is. Old Trafford was always a fortress. It's not nowadays. But Arsenal don't have that intimidation factor anymore because we do not intimidate teams. We don't command the game. And as you said earlier, Gracie, there's so many faults that are going wrong. So many things need to be changed. And it's going to take, unfortunately, I think, a good few years.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Just to answer this comment here, actually, I can't enable the super chat feature because I'm not at the required amount of subs, but there is actually a link in my description that will do the same thing. So if you wanted to do that, please, absolutely. Eventually, I will be donating because I don't want any profit. I will be donating a portion of it to someone like the Arsenal Foundation because they need it. So that'll be the plan for that one. But yeah, as you said, like we don't have the fear factor. Why should any team be scared of us? It's very confusing with our team because sometimes we could look a threat and sometimes we can push ourselves. But then again, like as we mentioned earlier, it's down to consistency. And if you want to be the top team, you have to fight for it. There's no such thing as, oh, we put a team out that will respect Man City or respect Chelsea. I don't want to give them respect.
No.
I want to go and win because they're not going to give us any respect. Let's face it.
Quite true. And why should they? I'd much rather teams came to the Emirates, or if we went away, they feared us. Nottingham Forest didn't fear us.
No.
They didn't look like a team that was frightened. I think, oh God, yes, it's Arsenal, because they know what our performances have been in the last, let's say, 4 or 5 years, what the club is doing. So they knew we were there for the taking, and so it's that's going to take a long time to change that philosophy.
Yeah.
And I love that comment from Millwall Alf there, because he's obviously from around that area, so he knows it very well. Millwall at Bermondsey. So fair play to him.
Yeah.
Millwall, are you an Arsenal fan or are you actually Millwall? I'll ask you a question, man.
While we're just waiting for that response, let's get a few of these comments, because they're literally flying. Thanks for everyone that's been watching. The support's literally been insane, and I really do appreciate it. So thank you for that. Big up Static as well. Big up Static. He's always about.
Legend.
Yeah, big legend. Static. But it's just, I just can't explain it anymore. Like, I still look forward to games. Some days I'm like, really? Like, do I have to sit and watch it again? And I don't want that as an Arsenal fan, you know? I want to look forward to go to games. I want to look forward to be watching Arsenal. But it gets to the point where you have to look and be like, well, will we ever change? Will this, as you said, it's going to take a long time. And for fans, we don't like to sit and wait. We are impatient. Like, that's just what fans are, you know? But these the Arteta lovers in the world are clearly way too patient. And it's time, it really is time for something to happen, because I don't know how much longer this can go on before Arsenal, something seriously like impacts us. Like, at the start of the season, like relegation, things like that. And it's like, we're not invincible from that. No one is.
No.
You've seen teams in the past. Like, I grew up watching teams on TV like Newcastle, and used to fear Newcastle, used to fear Crystal Palace, like big time. Or but that was at the beginning. Then you got through, and you were like, that was an expected win playing them. And now I just like, it's worrying that I have to think.
It's got to the point where, when we used to play teams like Palace, you'd think, yeah, it's easy. Don't worry about that. But now, when we, going away to Palace is always a great day out anyway. I don't know if you've ever been there, but their fans are relentless, absolutely relentless, and it's a great day. It's an old ground. It's tight. It's noisy, and it's a fantastic atmosphere. But I never used to fear going there and thinking, oh Christ, God, are we going to get a result here today? Are we going to get a point? Now, I think nearly every game we play, oof, blimey, dearie me. Even I'll put it this way, I got it totally wrong. Even when we went up to Norwich, right, we won 5-0 on Lee's channel. We were doing a podcast with Kenny, and Lee said, well, what do you think we're going to, what do you think the result will be? And I said, I think we'll get maybe a 2-1. And I can't remember what Kenny said, but it was around that. I think he might have said 3-1 or something. All right, we came away with 5-0. Now, that really sums it up, doesn't it? That here I am, a seasoned 53 years supporting a football club, and I'm thinking, blimey, well, we've got to go away to Norwich, and I know they're down the bottom there, but can we get a result? Do you think we're going to get a result? So it's frightening, isn't it? It's bloody
scary. It's scary to see how much you can decline very quickly.
Gracie, sorry to interrupt you.
No, obviously, go.
It will change.
Yeah.
It will change. I've seen it in the early 70s. The difference there was the team was getting older, but the difference also was the players still fought for the badge. It happened in the 80s, late 80s, when we had George Graham, and it was all that great time. All teams go through hills and valleys. Every team does it. Man United are doing it at the moment. You look at the great team that Man United had long before you were born, in the 90s and through the 2000s. The difference with Arsenal is we can never maintain consistency. We win a league trophy, and then we stumble along for 2 or 3 years. Win a league trophy, stumble, FA Cup, 2 FA Cups, league trophy. Teams like Man U and Liverpool, Liverpool back in the 70s, 80s, they were relentless. Win it year after year after year after year after year. The only time Arsenal have ever done that was in the 30s, right? Which is before any of us were born. So wouldn't it be nice to see that we win Division, Premier League, FA Cup, Premier League, FA Cup? Wouldn't it be nice?
It'd be amazing. It would be absolutely incredible. And clubs do go through periods, but this has just been way too long. We're talking well over a decade, of just
17 years,
whatever this is.
17 years for a league trophy.
That I'm 17 this year, as old as me. That is, that we have not won a trophy. It's very disappointing. But here's your answer from Millwall here. So he is an Arsenal supporter.
Fair play to you, mate.
Yeah, absolutely. And a bit of background for me, my whole family is Arsenal. On my mum's side and my granddad, they're all from North London. We're talking 5 minutes from the stadium, Gillespie Road, from the whole area of which is Arsenal. They're just what it is. So that's why I'm so angry. I am passionate. Games I do scream, I do shout.
I know you are. I can tell. You're, cut you in half and it's in Arsenal. I know that one.
Yeah. But anyway, we've been on here for an hour now. Thank you so much, really, for coming on. It's been a great chat, and hopefully we can sort out another time where we're both available, make it a regular thing potentially. Yeah. But yeah, big up to the chat as well. This is incredible. 20 people watching right now, and the comments have been great. If I did miss any, I will reply. And I am getting round to all the Twitter DMs, I promise. It's just there's quite a lot and I've got to get through them. But I'm allocating time to that. But yeah, thanks for everyone for coming on, and to you, Jez, and I really hope you have a great evening.
Pleasure, Gracie. I'll come back again another day.
Be brilliant. But on that note, Arteta out.
Arteta out. You prick.